The morning sky over New Sol burned red. 200 alien ships hung in the clouds like dark metal birds waiting to strike. Colonel Kim Tae-ho watched them through his rifle scope from the command bunker deep underground. His hands did not shake, even though he knew this would be his last day. "Sir, the evacuation ships are almost clear," said Lieutenant Park beside him. The young officer's voice cracked with fear, but he stayed at his post. Tae-ho was proud of him. All of his soldiers were good people. They deserved better than this. The alien ships belonged to something called the hegemony. For 3 years, these creatures had been attacking human colonies across 12 star systems. They were winning. Humans had lost almost every battle. Now they were here at New Sol, the last major colony before Earth itself. Tae-ho pressed his radio button. "All units, this is command. Enemy landing craft will arrive in 10 minutes. Remember your training. Make every shot count. We are buying time for our families to escape." Deep below the bunker, his sister Soo-jin worked frantically in her laboratory. Dr. Kim Soo-jin was one of the smartest people Tae-ho knew. She had been building something secret for months, a machine that could send messages across space faster than any ship could travel. If she could finish it, she might warn Earth about what was coming next. "The power coupling is almost ready," Soo-jin said to her assistant, Dr. Lee. Sweat dripped down her face as she connected the final wires. The quantum communication array was humanity's last hope. If the aliens destroyed it before she could send the message, Earth would never know the real attack was coming. Above ground, the first alien dropships broke through the clouds. They looked like giant metal teardrops, each one carrying 50 enemy soldiers. Tae-ho counted at least 200 ships heading for the surface. 10,000 alien warriors against his 800 Marines. The math was simple and terrible. "Here they come," he said into his radio. "All positions, weapons free. Show them how humans fight." The sky filled with streaks of light as his soldiers opened fire. Their laser rifles and missile launchers reached up toward the alien ships. Some dropships exploded in bright flashes. Others kept coming, their shields glowing as they absorbed the human weapons. Tae-ho watched the battle through his periscope. His Marines had prepared for this fight for months. They knew every street and building in the city. Hidden gun positions opened fire from rooftops and windows. Mines exploded under alien feet. Snipers picked off enemy officers from a kilometer away, but there were just too many aliens. The creatures that climbed out of the crashed dropships were tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. They moved fast and carried weapons that shot bolts of blue energy. Their armor was better than anything humans had. Their tactics were perfect. They had been fighting wars for thousands of years. "Section 3 is falling back," came a voice over the radio. "We need reinforcement at the north gate." "Section 7 is gone," said another voice. "The aliens broke through. They are heading for the command center." Tae-ho made quick decisions, moving his troops like pieces on a chessboard. He knew he could not win, but he could slow the aliens down. Every minute his soldiers held gave Soo-jin more time to finish her work. In the laboratory, warning lights flashed red as explosions shook the building above. Soo-jin's hands moved quickly over her controls. The quantum array was almost ready. Just a few more minutes and she could send the warning to Admiral Park at Earth Command. "Doctor, we need to evacuate," said Dr. Lee. "The aliens will be here soon." "Not yet," Soo-jin replied. "Almost there. Just need to calibrate the quantum resonance frequency." Above them, Tae-ho's voice came over the speakers. "All units, fall back to secondary positions. Execute Plan Delta. I repeat, execute Plan Delta." Plan Delta meant the battle was lost. It was the code for a fighting retreat to give the scientists time to escape. Soo-jin knew her brother was sacrificing his men to protect her work. She would not let their sacrifice be meaningless. The quantum array hummed to life. Energy crackled between the metal towers as the machine tore a hole through space itself. For the first time in human history, they could send a message faster than light could travel. Soo-jin typed quickly on her computer, preparing the data packet that would warn Earth. "Message ready," she announced. "Sending now." The information shot across space in an instant. It traveled through dimensions humans barely understood. racing toward Earth at impossible speed. The message contained everything: the size of the alien fleet, their weapons, their tactics, and most importantly, their real plan. Sujin had discovered the truth while studying captured alien communications. The attack on New Sol was not the main invasion. It was a distraction. While humans fought desperately to defend their colony, the real hegemony fleet was moving toward Earth. 800 ships carrying enough firepower to destroy every human city. Message sent, she said with relief. Admiral Park will know what is coming. At that moment, the laboratory door exploded inward. Alien soldiers poured into the room, their weapons charging with blue light. Sujin grabbed the self-destruct button and smiled at her assistant. For humanity, she said, and pressed the button. The explosion destroyed the entire research facility. Sujin and Dr. Lee died instantly, but their message was already racing toward Earth. 3 light-years away, Admiral Park Min-ho sat in his command chair aboard the Earth Defense Station, completely unaware that humanity's fate was speeding toward him through space. On the surface of New Sol, Tae-ho heard the explosion. He knew what it meant. His sister had completed her mission and destroyed the evidence. The aliens would never know that Earth had been warned. He felt proud and sad at the same time. "Sir, we are surrounded," reported Sergeant Kim. "No way out." Tae-ho looked around at his remaining soldiers. 50 Marines left out of 800. They had fought well. They had held the line long enough for the evacuation ships to escape, and for Sujin to send her warning. Now it was time for the final act. "Form a circle," he ordered. "We make our last stand here, for Earth, for humanity, for everyone we could not save." His soldiers moved into position without question. They were tired and wounded, but they stood ready to fight. These were the best people Tae-ho had ever known. He was honored to die beside them. The alien forces surrounded the small group of humans. Their leader, a tall creature with silver marks on his armor, stepped forward. He spoke in perfect human language. "You have fought bravely, Colonel Kim Tae-ho. Your resistance was impressive but pointless. Surrender now and your death will be quick." Tae-ho raised his rifle and aimed at the alien's head. "Humans do not surrender. We fight until the end." "Then you will die for nothing," the alien said. "Your colony is destroyed, your fleet is scattered. Soon we will attack Earth and humanity will be extinct. Your sacrifice changes nothing." Tae-ho smiled. "You are wrong. You think you have won, but you do not understand humans. We never stop fighting, we never give up, and we always find a way." "Iftiar," alien commander laughed. "Your species is young and weak. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Earth will fall just like all the others." "Maybe," Tae-ho said, "but maybe you will learn something about humans before this is over. Maybe you will discover that victory is never certain until the last shot is fired." The battle began with a flash of blue light. Tae-ho and his Marines fought with desperate courage, taking down twice their number before falling. When the smoke cleared, Colonel Kim Tae-ho lay still among his soldiers. The alien commander stood over the human bodies, impressed despite himself by their bravery. "Bury them with honor," he told his troops. "They died as warriors should." The alien did not know that Sujin's message was already halfway to Earth. He did not know that Admiral Park would receive the warning in just 3 hours. And he certainly did not know about the USS Blackstar, humanity's most secret weapon, waiting in the dark beyond Pluto's orbit. As the hegemony fleet prepared to leave New Sol's system, heading toward Earth for their final assault, the alien commander felt confident about victory. His forces had crushed human resistance on 12 worlds. Earth would be just another easy conquest. But Tae-ho's final words would prove prophetic. The aliens were about to learn that victory was never certain when fighting humans. And soon, very soon, they would discover exactly what that meant when the USS Blackstar revealed itself and shattered their carefully planned assault. Admiral Park Min-ho stared at the quantum message display with growing horror. Sujin's final transmission had arrived 3 hours ago, and its contents changed everything he thought he knew about the war. The attack on New Sol was not the main invasion. It was just the beginning. 800 ships, he said aloud, reading the data again. The entire hegemony battle fleet is heading here. His aide, Captain Yoon Jae-sung, stood beside him in the Earth Defense Station's command center. Through the massive windows, they could see Earth turning slowly below them, beautiful and peaceful, and completely unaware of the death approaching. Through space, huh? When will they arrive? Yoon asked. Park checked his calculations. 48 hours at most. Maybe less if they push their engines harder than expected. The two men looked at each other. Earth's entire defense fleet consisted of 47 warships. Against 800 alien vessels, they had no chance in a direct fight. But Park had not survived 25 years of military service by fighting fair battles. Send a coded message to all fleet commanders, he ordered. Operation broken. Shield is now active. All ships are to assume their assigned positions immediately. Yoon nodded and began typing commands into his console. Operation Broken Shield was Earth's most secret defense plan. Only the senior officers knew about it, and even they did not know all the details. Park had been working on this strategy for 2 years, ever since the first alien attacks began. On the surface of Earth, General Lee Da-yoon received Park's orders in her underground command bunker. She was responsible for defending the planet if the space battle went badly. Around her, dozens of officers worked at computer screens, coordinating the evacuation of Earth's major cities. Begin Phase 1 of the civilian evacuation, she announced. All non-essential personnel are to report to transport stations immediately. This is not a drill. The evacuation had been planned for months, but nobody expected to use it so soon. Across Earth's continents, emergency broadcasts began telling people to leave their homes and head for underground shelters. Most humans did not panic. They had been preparing for this day ever since the alien attacks began. In New York, millions of people moved calmly toward subway stations that led to massive bunkers built deep beneath the city. In London, families gathered their emergency supplies and headed for the transportation centers. In Seoul, the city where Soo-jin and Tae-ho had been born, old people and children were loaded onto hovering buses that would carry them to safety in the mountains. Captain Yoon coordinated the space-based evacuation from his position on the defense station. Hundreds of civilian ships were being loaded with people who could not reach the underground shelters. These vessels would hide behind Jupiter's moons until the battle was over. Evacuation ships are reporting ready, he told Admiral Park. 47 civilian transports carrying 200,000 people. They will reach the outer system in 18 hours. Park nodded. Every person saved was a victory, no matter what happened in the coming battle. But he knew that hiding would not save humanity. They had to fight, and they had to win. The hegemony would not be satisfied with just conquering Earth. They would hunt down every human in the galaxy. What about the Blackstar? Yoon asked quietly. Should we contact Captain Choi? Park shook his head. The Blackstar maintains radio silence. Captain, Choi knows the plan. He will act when the time is right. The USS Blackstar was humanity's greatest secret. For 3 years, the best scientists and engineers on Earth had worked to build a single ship using technology stolen from captured alien vessels. It was larger and more powerful than any human ship had ever been, but it was also completely untested. In real combat, Captain Choi Woo-jin commanded the Blackstar from its hidden position in the dark space beyond Pluto. His ship had been waiting there for 6 months, invisible to enemy sensors, ready to spring Admiral Park's trap. Choi was a veteran of 12 space battles, but he had never commanded anything like the Blackstar before. Sir, we are detecting massive hyperspace distortions, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Bae Young-suk. The enemy fleet is arriving. On her screens, 800 points of light appeared at the edge of the solar system. The hegemony invasion fleet had arrived exactly when Soo-jin's message predicted they would. Their ships were enormous, each one the size of a small city, bristling with weapons that could crack planets open. Supreme Commander Kethras stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Sovereign Death, and smiled as he looked at the pathetic human defenses. Earth's tiny fleet was already retreating toward Mars exactly as he had expected. Humans were predictable creatures. They always ran when facing superior force. Send half the fleet around the sun, he ordered his subordinate. We will catch the human ships between two forces and crush them completely. This battle will be over before their sun sets. Kethris had studied human tactics for months. He knew their weaknesses. They were emotional, they acted without thinking, and they always tried to save their civilians instead of fighting strategically. These flaws had cost them 12 colonies. Now they would cost them their home world. Admiral Park watched the alien fleet spread out across his tactical display. His own ships were retreating toward Mars as planned, leading the enemy exactly where he wanted them. The hegemony commander was making the same mistake that had destroyed so many other species. He was underestimating humans. All ships maintain retreat speed, Park broadcast to his fleet. Do not engage the enemy, repeat, do not engage. His captains followed orders, even though it went against every military instinct they had. Human warships fled before the advancing aliens, their weapons silent, their formations scattered. To the hegemony forces, it looked like complete panic. Commander Nam Hyun-woo led a squadron of human fighters in the retreat. His pilots wanted to turn and fight, but Nam knew the plan. They had to wait. Everything depended on perfect timing. Stay calm, he told his pilots over the radio. We are not running away. We are setting up the greatest ambush in human history. On Earth, General Lee watched the space battle through long-range sensors. The alien fleet was pursuing Park's ships aggressively, spreading their formation thin to catch the fleeing humans. It was exactly what the plan required. Phase 2 is ready, she reported to Admiral Park. All ground defenses are online. If any alien ships reach the planet, we will be ready. But Lee hoped the aliens would never reach Earth's surface. The plan called for the battle to be won in space, by a ship that most people did not even know existed. Captain Choi felt the tension on the Blackstar's bridge as his crew watched the approaching battle. His ship was still invisible to enemy sensors, hidden by technology that bent light and radio waves around the hull. But soon, very soon, they would have to reveal themselves. Sir, the enemy fleet is in optimal position, reported Lieutenant Commander Bay. Admiral Park's ships are approaching Mars. Enemy pursuit forces are spread across 2 million kilometers of space. Choi nodded. The trap was almost ready to spring. The hegemony fleet thought they were chasing scattered, panicking humans. They did not know that every move had been planned, every retreat calculated to put the alien ships exactly where Park wanted them. All hands. This is the captain, Choi announced over the ship's communication system. We have trained for this moment for 3 years. In 10 minutes we will reveal ourselves to the enemy and begin the counterattack. Remember your training, trust your equipment, and show these aliens what human ingenuity can accomplish. Dr. Shin A-ri, the Blackstar's chief scientist, made final adjustments to the ship's quantum weapon systems. These devices used principles that human science had barely understood 5 years ago. They could punch through alien shields like paper and destroy enemy ships from incredible distances. All weapon systems are ready, she reported. Quantum disruption cannons are charged to full power. Jump drive destabilizer is online. Stealth systems are holding steady. The jump drive destabilizer was the most important weapon on the ship. It could create an energy field that would prevent enemy ships from escaping into hyperspace. Once Choi activated it, the entire hegemony fleet would be trapped in the solar system, forced to fight until one side was completely destroyed. Supreme Commander Kethris felt confident as his ships closed in on the fleeing humans. In a few hours, this pathetic species would be extinct, and the hegemony would claim another star system for their empire. He had already decided which planets to colonize and which to strip mine for resources. Sir, we are detecting some unusual readings from the outer system, reported his sensor officer. There might be a large asteroid field beyond the 8th planet. Kethris barely listened. Ignore it. Focus on the human fleet. They cannot run much farther without reaching their own defensive positions around Mars. The sensor officer nodded and returned to his console. He did not know that the asteroid field was actually the USS Blackstar, waiting in the darkness like a predator ready to strike. Admiral Park's fleet reached Mars orbit exactly on schedule. His ships took positions behind the planet's two small moons, using them as cover while the alien fleet approached. On his tactical display, 800 enemy ships were spread across space in a loose formation, perfect targets for what was coming next. "All ships, prepare for battle," Park announced. In 60, the universe changed in an instant. Where empty space had been, a massive human warship appeared like magic. The USS Blackstar was 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that no alien had ever seen before. Its black hull absorbed light, making it look like a hole cut in the stars themselves. Supreme Commander Kethra stared at his tactical display in shock. "What is that thing?" His sensor officer's voice shook with fear. "Unknown contact, sir. Mass readings indicate..." "This cannot be correct. The ship is twice the size of our largest dreadnought." "Impossible," Kethra snarled. "Humans do not have technology to build ships that large. Check your sensors again." But there was no mistake. The Blackstar hung in space behind the hegemony, fleet like a predator that had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. On its bridge, Captain Choi Woo-jin smiled grimly as he watched the enemy's confused reaction. "Lieutenant Commander Bay, you may fire when ready," he said calmly. Bay's fingers danced over her controls, targeting the 3 largest enemy ships in the rear formation. The Blackstar's quantum disruption cannons had never been tested against real targets, but the computer simulations promised devastating results. "Firing main batteries," she announced. The Blackstar's weapons created no visible beam or projectile. Instead, they fired concentrated bursts of quantum energy that traveled through dimensions humans barely understood. The energy struck the alien, ship shields, and passed right through them as if they did not exist. 3 hegemony dreadnoughts, each one capable of destroying an entire planet, simply exploded. Their hulls cracked open like eggs, spilling atmosphere and debris into space. In 5 seconds, 30,000 alien warriors died without firing a single shot in return. "Direct hits on all targets," Bay reported, her voice filled with amazement. "Enemy vessels destroyed completely." The shockwave of the explosions raced through the hegemony fleet. Hundreds of alien captains watched their screens in disbelief as the impossible happened. A single human ship had just destroyed 3 of their most powerful vessels, with weapons that ignored their best defenses. Captain Choi opened a communication channel to all enemy ships. When he spoke, his voice was calm and professional, like a teacher explaining a lesson to confused students. "This is Captain Choi Woo-jin of the United Earth ship Blackstar. You are trespassing in human space with hostile intent. Withdraw immediately or face destruction." Kethra snarled and activated his own communication system. "Human fool, you have 1 ship against 800. Even with your new weapons, you cannot defeat us all." Choi's reply came with another devastating attack. This time, the Blackstar's quantum cannons targeted 6 enemy cruisers. They vanished in silent flashes of light, their wreckage joining the debris field from the first attack. 791, Choi said simply. "Would you like to recalculate your odds?" On the planet Mars, Admiral Park's fleet watched the battle with growing excitement. The Blackstar was performing even better than the most optimistic projections, but Park knew the real fight was just beginning. "All ships, attack formation Alpha," he commanded. "The Blackstar has given us our opening. Now we press the advantage." 47 human warships emerged from behind Mars's moons with their weapons blazing. They were still outnumbered more than 15 to 1, but the Blackstar had changed everything. The aliens were confused and frightened, their perfect formation broken by panic. Commander Nam Hyun-woo led his fighter squadrons in a sweeping attack against the enemy's left flank. His pilots had been waiting 3 days for this moment, and they flew their ships with deadly precision. "Dragon Squadron, follow my lead," Nam radioed to his pilots. "Hit the command ships first. Take out their ability to coordinate." The human fighters were small and fast, almost invisible to alien sensors. They used quantum stealth technology developed from the same research that built the Blackstar. Enemy targeting computers could not lock onto ships that existed partially, outside normal space. Nam's fighters swept through the alien formation like ghosts, firing missiles into engine compartments and bridge sections. Hegemony ships that had dominated space battles for centuries found themselves helpless against weapons they could not see coming. On the Blackstar, Dr. Shin Airi monitored the ship's experimental systems with growing confidence. Everything was working perfectly, even better than the computer models had predicted. The quantum physics that powered their weapons was holding stable under combat conditions. "Captain, the jump drive destabilizer is ready for activation," she reported. "Once we turn it on, no enemy ship will be able to escape into hyperspace." Choi nodded. This was the moment that would decide humanity's fate. If the destabilizer worked, the entire hegemony fleet would be trapped in the solar system, forced to fight until one side was completely destroyed. If it failed, the aliens would retreat and return with an even larger force. "Activate the destabilizer," Choi ordered. The Blackstar's most secret weapon came online with a deep hum that seemed to make space itself vibrate. Energy fields spread outward from the ship in all directions, creating an invisible cage around the solar system. Any ship trying to enter hyperspace would find its jump drive simply refusing to function. Supreme Commander Kethras discovered this when he ordered his fleet to retreat. "All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. We will return with reinforcements." But nothing happened. His ship's jump drive powered up normally, but when he tried to activate it, the system simply shut down with warning messages he had never seen before. "Sir, hyperspace jump is impossible," his engineer reported. "Something is interfering with our drive systems. All ships are reporting the same problem." For the first time in his long military career, Kethras felt real fear. The humans had trapped his entire fleet in their solar system. There would be no retreat, no calling for reinforcements, no second chances. This battle would be fought to the finish. "All ships attack Formation Delta," he commanded. "Concentrate fire on the large human vessel. Destroy it at any cost." 600 surviving hegemony ships turned toward the Blackstar and opened fire, with everything they had. The space around the human ship filled with energy beams, plasma bolts, and guided missiles. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But the Blackstar had one more surprise. Its shields were not like anything the aliens had ever encountered. Instead of absorbing or deflecting enemy fire, they used quantum field manipulation to redirect the energy into parallel dimensions. The alien weapons struck the shield and simply disappeared, causing no damage at all. Shield efficiency at 98%. Dr. Shin reported calmly as hundreds of alien weapons fired uselessly at their ship. "We can maintain this level of defense indefinitely." Captain Choi smiled. "Then let us show our guests what happens when you attack Earth." The Blackstar's counterattack was swift and terrible. Its quantum cannons fired continuously, each shot destroying another enemy vessel. The ship's targeting computers could track hundreds of enemies at once, prioritizing threats and eliminating them with mechanical precision. Lieutenant Commander Bay coordinated the attack with the skill of an artist creating a masterpiece. "Target the command ships first," she told her weapons teams. "Break their chain of command and the rest will be easier to handle." Across the alien fleet, hegemony captains watched their flagships explode one by one. Without central coordination, their formations began to fall apart. Ships collided with each other as they tried to avoid the Blackstar's devastating fire. On Earth, General Lee Da-eun monitored the space battle from her underground command center. The tactical displays showed human forces winning decisively, but she knew the fight was far from over. Desperate enemies were the most dangerous kind. "All planetary defense systems remain on full alert," she announced to her staff. "If any alien ships break through, we will be ready for them." Meanwhile, Admiral Park's fleet pressed their attack against the confused and demoralized hegemony forces. Human ships that had been retreating in panic just minutes before now fought with renewed confidence. Their conventional weapons could not match the Blackstar's quantum technology, but they could exploit the chaos the larger ship was creating. Captain Yoon Jae-sung led his destroyer squadron against a group of enemy cruisers that were trying to reform their battle line. "All ships target their engine sections, cripple them so they cannot maneuver." The human destroyers were fast and agile, darting in and out of the alien formation like wolves attacking a herd of confused animals. They fired precise shots into engine compartments and weapon systems, disabling enemy ships without destroying them completely. On the Blackstar's bridge, Captain Choi watched the battle develop with professional satisfaction. The trap was working perfectly. The hegemony fleet was trapped, confused, and being systematically destroyed by weapons they could not understand or counter. "Sir, we are receiving surrender signals from approximately 50 enemy vessels," Lieutenant Commander Bay reported. "They are requesting permission to withdraw." Choi considered this for a moment. Accepting surrender would be the merciful choice, but these aliens had destroyed 12 human colonies and killed millions of innocent people. More importantly, they would never stop attacking humanity unless they were taught a lesson they would never forget. Negative, he decided. They came here to commit genocide. Supreme Commander Kethras's flagship, the Sovereign Death, turned toward Earth with its engines burning at maximum power. The massive alien dreadnought was dying, with fires burning throughout its hull and atmosphere leaking from dozens of breaches, but it still carried enough explosive power to crack a planet's crust. "Ramming speed," Kethras shouted to his crew. "We will show these humans the price of defying the hegemony." On the Blackstar's bridge, Lieutenant Commander Bay detected the enemy flagship's course change immediately. "Captain, the large enemy vessel is heading directly for Earth. Impact in 14 minutes. Captain Choi studied his tactical display. The alien ship was already inside the debris field from the destroyed fleet, using the wreckage as cover against the Blackstar's weapons. It would be a difficult shot and they might not stop it in time. "All weapons, concentrate fire on the flagship," Choi ordered. "Do not let it reach Earth." The Blackstar's quantum cannons fired continuously, but the alien ship's captain was clever. He used the hulks of destroyed vessels as shields, jumping from one piece of cover to another. Each time the Blackstar's weapons locked onto the target, it disappeared behind another chunk of debris. Admiral Park watched the enemy flagship's desperate charge with growing alarm. His own ships were too far away to intercept, and their conventional weapons would barely scratch the massive alien vessel's armor. "All ships converge on the enemy flagship," he commanded. "We have to stop it somehow." But Park knew they would not reach the alien ship in time. Earth had 12 minutes before impact, and human civilization hung in the balance. On Earth's surface, General Lee Dayun tracked the approaching threat from her command bunker. The planet's orbital defense platforms were already firing, sending streams of laser fire and missiles toward the enemy ship. But it was not enough to stop something that large. "All evacuation ships increase speed," she broadcast to the civilian transport still leaving Earth's atmosphere. "Emergency acceleration authorized. Get as far from the planet as possible." Captain Yoon Jae-sung was aboard one of those evacuation ships, the transport vessel Harmony, which carried 3,000 civilians, including many children. He had been coordinating the evacuation when the alien flagship began its death run toward Earth. "Change course," he ordered the ship's captain. "We are not running away anymore. Set intercept course for the alien vessel." The civilian captain stared at him in shock. "Sir, this is a passenger transport. We have no weapons, no armor. We will be destroyed instantly." "Maybe," Yoon replied, "but we might buy the Blackstar enough time to get a clean shot. Those 3,000 people we are carrying will die anyway if that alien ship reaches Earth." The Harmony turned toward the approaching alien flagship, its civilian engines straining to achieve maximum speed. Around it, other evacuation ships followed Yoon's example. Cargo haulers, passenger transports, even small personal shuttles changed course to block the enemy's path to Earth. Major Song Ki-tae watched this incredible display of courage from his position aboard the Blackstar. He commanded the ship's Marine battalion, and his job was to lead boarding parties against enemy vessels. But right now, all he could do was watch as thousands of civilian volunteers flew toward certain death to protect their home world. "Captain, request permission to launch boarding shuttles," Song said to Captain Choi. "We can dock with the enemy flagship and destroy it from inside." Choi considered this for a moment. "Negative, Major. The alien ship is too heavily damaged. Your shuttles would never survive the approach, and even if they did, there would not be time to reach the ship's vital systems." Meanwhile, Dr. Shin A-ri worked frantically at her science station, trying to find a solution to their targeting problem. The enemy flagship kept disappearing behind debris, making it impossible for the Blackstar's weapons to lock on. "Captain, I have an idea," she announced. "What if we do not try to destroy the ship directly? What if we target the debris field itself?" Choi raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "The alien ship is using the wreckage as cover, but that same wreckage is also trapping it in a predictable path. If we detonate several large pieces of debris simultaneously, we can create a chain reaction that will expose the flagship." "Do it," Choi ordered. Dr. Shin targeted her quantum cannons on the largest pieces of wreckage in the debris field. When the weapons fired, they did not try to hit the alien ship directly. Instead, they caused massive explosions throughout the debris field, clearing away the cover the enemy captain was depending on. "Target acquired," Lieutenant Commander Bay reported. "The flagship is exposed." "Fire all weapons," Choi commanded. The Blackstar's quantum cannons unleashed their full power against the alien flagship. The energy beams struck the ship's hull and punched through its armor like it was paper. Explosions erupted along the vessels. Length's critical systems failed, but the alien ship kept coming. Its engines were destroyed, but momentum carried it forward toward Earth. The planet loomed larger in its viewports as Kethris laughed with mad satisfaction. 10 seconds to impact, the alien commander announced to his dying crew. "We will not be forgotten. The humans will pay for their defiance." Captain Choi made a decision that would define his place in history. "Helm, set ramming course for the alien flagship. All hands prepare for impact." Dr. Shin looked at him in shock. "Captain, the Blackstar is humanity's most advanced ship. We cannot sacrifice it." "We cannot let that alien vessel reach Earth," Choi replied calmly. 8 billion people live on that planet. The choice is simple. The USS Blackstar turned toward the enemy flagship and accelerated to ramming speed. The two massive vessels approached each other on a collision course, with Earth hanging helplessly in the background. On his ship's bridge, Kethris saw the human vessel approaching and laughed. "So the human captain chooses to die with honor. I can respect that." Commander Nam Hyun-woo led his fighter squadrons in a final desperate attack against the alien flagship. His pilots fired every missile and energy bolt they had, trying to cripple the ship's engines or detonate its power core. But the alien vessel was too large and too heavily armored. "All squadrons, break off," Nam ordered his pilots. "Get clear of the impact zone." The fighters scattered as the two massive ships rushed toward each other. On the Blackstar, Captain Choi spoke to his crew one final time. "It has been an honor serving with you," he announced over the ship's communication system. "Today we save Earth. Today we save humanity. Today we show the galaxy that humans never surrender." The collision was visible from Earth's surface, as 2 points of light merged into a single brilliant star. The Blackstar struck the alien flagship amidships, and both vessels exploded in a blast that could be seen on every continent below. When the light faded, there was nothing left but an expanding cloud of debris and energy. Captain Choi, Dr. Shin, Major Song, and all 800 crew members of the USS Blackstar had given their lives to save their homeworld. On Earth, General Lee watched the explosion through her periscope and felt tears running down her cheeks. The Blackstar's sacrifice had saved the planet, but the cost was almost unbearable. "Signal all remaining alien ships," she ordered. "Any vessel that surrenders will be treated according to the laws of war. Any that continue fighting will be destroyed." Across the debris field, the surviving hegemony ships began surrendering one by one. Their supreme commander was dead, their fleet was shattered, and the humans had just demonstrated the lengths they would go to protect their world. Commander Nam regrouped his fighter squadrons and began accepting the surrender of alien vessels. Many of the enemy's ships were badly damaged and in need of immediate assistance. Despite everything these aliens had done, human rescue teams moved quickly to save lives and provide medical aid. Admiral Park's fleet spread throughout the system, collecting prisoners and securing abandoned alien technology. In a few hours, they had captured more advanced equipment than human scientists had seen in decades of war. Captain Yoon and the other evacuation ships turned around and headed back toward Earth. The civilian volunteers who had been willing to sacrificed themselves to stop the alien flagship were now needed to help with rescue operations. "This is Admiral Park to all human forces," came the broadcast from the fleet commander. "The Battle of Earth is over. We have achieved total victory. The alien invasion has been defeated." But even as they celebrated, everyone knew the price of victory. The USS Blackstar was gone, along with the best and brightest crew in the human fleet. Captain Choi's final sacrifice had saved Earth, but it left humanity without its most powerful weapon. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Park looked out at the debris field that marked the grave of the Blackstar and its crew. Thousands of key pieces of wreckage drifted in the darkness, each one a testament to human courage and determination. "Begin recovery operations," he ordered. "Search for survivors and salvage what technology we can, and prepare a message for Earth Command. The galaxy needs to know what happened here today." The message that went out to every human colony told the story of the greatest space battle in human history. It told of Captain Choi's sacrifice, of the civilians who flew toward death to protect their world, and of the day humanity proved that they would never be conquered. But the message also carried a warning. The hegemony empire was vast, with thousands of worlds and millions. 3 months after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Park Min-ho stood in the command center of humanity's newest space station, watching construction ships build the first of the new Blackstar-class vessels. The memorial station orbited Earth at the exact spot where Captain Choi had made his final sacrifice, and every day thousands of visitors came to honor the crew who saved their world. The war against the hegemony empire was far from over, but everything had changed. Dr. Kim Soo-jin's quantum communication array had done more than just warn Earth about the invasion. Her final transmission had reached enslaved worlds throughout the galaxy, carrying proof that the mighty hegemony could be defeated. "Sir, we are receiving surrender broadcasts from the Kepler system," reported Captain Yoon Jae-sung, who now served as Park's chief of staff. "That makes 47 star systems that have declared independence from the hegemony in the past month." Park nodded with satisfaction. The hegemony empire was collapsing faster than anyone had expected. Worlds that had been enslaved for centuries were rising in rebellion, inspired by humanity's victory at Earth. But with freedom came responsibility, and humans found themselves leading a galactic alliance they had never intended to create. "What is the status of the Liberation Fleet?" Park asked. "Admiral Kang So-young reports that the Third Liberation Fleet has successfully freed the mining colonies in the Vega system," Yoon replied. "The hegemony garrison surrendered without a fight. Local populations are requesting membership in the Terran Alliance." The Terran Alliance was humanity's answer to the collapsing empire. Instead of conquering worlds like the hegemony had done, humans offered partnership and mutual defense. Former slaves became equal allies, contributing their knowledge and resources to the growing alliance. On the rebuilt colony world of New Seoul, Colonel Kim Tae-ho's memorial stood in the center of the capital city. His sister Soo-jin was honored beside him, and their story had become legend throughout human space. The siblings who died defending their world had sparked a revolution that freed half the galaxy. General Lee Da-eun, now promoted to Secretary of Defense, visited the memorial whenever her duties brought her to New Seoul. Today, she was meeting with representatives from 12 different species, all former hegemony slaves who wanted to join the alliance. The Zephyrians offer their manufacturing capabilities, reported Ambassador Chen, the human diplomatic corps' liaison to the former enemies. Their orbital shipyards can produce vessels using our quantum technology. With their help, we can build the new Blackstar fleet twice as fast. Lee studied the production reports with amazement. The alliance was growing so quickly that Earth's military planners could barely keep up. Every month brought new allies, new technologies, and new responsibilities. But the most important development was happening in the research laboratories scattered across human space. Dr. Shin A-Ri's quantum weapons research had survived the Blackstar's destruction, and teams of human and alien scientists were working together to improve on her designs. Commander Nam Hyun-woo, now a full admiral, tested the first production model of the new Blackstar fighter squadron. These small ships carried miniaturized versions of the quantum disruption cannons that had destroyed the hegemony invasion fleet. A single squadron could now do what an entire fleet of conventional ships had struggled to accomplish. The new fighters are incredible, he reported to Admiral Park during their weekly briefing. Quantum stealth technology makes them nearly impossible to detect, and their weapons can punch through any known shield system. We tested them against captured hegemony cruisers, and the results exceeded all expectations. Meanwhile, Major Song Kite had been promoted to colonel and placed in charge of training the Alliance's new marine forces. His students included humans, Zephyrians, Centaurians, and dozens of other species. They learned to fight together as a unified force, sharing tactics and technologies that made them far more effective than any single species military. The diversity is our strength, Song explained to a group of new recruits. Humans contribute adaptability and innovation. Zephyrians bring precision engineering. Centaurians offer strategic thinking developed over thousands of years of warfare. Together we are unstoppable. The proof of this came when the Alliance faced its first major test. The hegemony's core worlds had not given up, and they launched a massive counterattack against the Alliance's forward bases. 300 enemy ships led by a new supreme commander, who had learned from Kethras's mistakes, struck at the liberated Vega colonies. Admiral Park took personal command of the defense fleet, leading 12 new Blackstar-class ships and 200 conventional vessels from 6 different species. The battle that followed proved that humanity's victory at Earth was no fluke. The new Blackstar ships performed flawlessly, their quantum weapons devastating the enemy fleet while their improved shields shrugged off return fire. But more importantly, the diverse Alliance fleet fought with coordination and determination that impressed even veteran human officers. Zephyrian cruisers used their precise targeting systems to disable enemy ships without destroying them, allowing Alliance Marines to capture valuable intelligence. Centaurian destroyers used ancient tactical formations that confused enemy commanders. Human fighters struck with the innovation and courage that had become their signature. Enemy fleet is in full retreat, Admiral Nam reported from his flagship. We are pursuing according to plan. Estimate complete enemy withdrawal from this sector within 6 hours. The victory at Vega was followed by others across the Alliance frontier. Hegemony forces found themselves unable to match the combined strength of their former slaves and their human allies. World after world declared independence, until the ancient empire controlled only a fraction of its former territory. But Park knew that military victory was only part of the solution. The real challenge was building something better to replace the empire they were destroying. On Earth, politicians and diplomats worked frantically to create the legal framework for a truly democratic galactic government. The Constitutional Convention has approved the basic structure, reported Secretary Lee during one of their meetings. Each member world gets equal representation in the Alliance Council, regardless of size or military contribution. Decisions require consensus, not majority rule. It was a radical departure from how galactic empires had traditionally operated. Instead of one species dominating others, the Terran Alliance would be governed by cooperation and mutual respect. The system was messy and sometimes slow, but it was also fair in a way the galaxy had never seen before. The first Alliance Council meeting was held on a neutral space station in the former no-man's land between human and hegemony space. Representatives from 127 worlds gathered to sign the Terran Charter, officially creating the largest democratic government in galactic history. Captain Yoon, now promoted to Admiral, attended the ceremony as Earth's military representative. He watched with pride as former enemies signed agreements to defend each other against future threats. The document they signed that day would become the foundation for centuries of peace and prosperity. Today we begin a new chapter in galactic history, announced Earth's president during the opening ceremony. Today, we prove that free people working together can accomplish anything. But even as they celebrated, everyone knew the work was far from finished. The hegemony's core world still controlled hundreds of star systems and millions of ships. They would not give up easily, and future wars seemed inevitable. Admiral Park understood this better than anyone. From his office on Memorial Station, he could see the construction yards where the next generation of Blackstar ships was taking shape. These vessels would be crewed by volunteers from dozens of species, all united by their commitment to freedom. The quantum communication network that Dr. Kim Soo-jin had died to create now connected every Alliance world. Her invention allowed instant communication across thousands of light years, making coordination possible on a galactic scale. Every day, her arrays carried messages of hope and cooperation to worlds that had once lived in fear. Colonel Kim Tae-ho's legacy lived on in the Alliance's military doctrine. His desperate last stand had shown the galaxy that humans would never surrender, no matter the odds. That same determination now inspired soldiers of every species who fought under the Alliance banner. Captain Choi's sacrifice aboard the USS Blackstar had saved Earth, but it had also demonstrated the power of unity and sacrifice for a greater cause. The new Blackstar-class ships carried his name into battle, and their crews swore the same oath he had taken, to defend freedom wherever it was threatened. Dr. Shin Ari's quantum physics research had given the Alliance weapons that could match anything the hegemony possessed. But more importantly, her scientific method of sharing knowledge freely among all species had revolutionized galactic technology. Innovation flourished when minds from different worlds worked together. As Admiral Park prepared for bed in his quarters, aboard Memorial Station, he could see Earth turning slowly below. The planet that had nearly fallen to alien conquest was now the capital of the largest democratic alliance in galactic history. Children who had huddled in bomb shelters during the invasion now played in parks built by cooperation between dozens of species. The war